I'm Laura from Garden Sanity, and today I thought it would be a lot of fun to show you some before and after tree pruning. Now, this isn't tree pruning that I've done. This is tree pruning that a tree professional, a certified arborist, has done for me. So I'm fine pruning smaller trees, such as our limelight hydrangea tree. But when it comes to larger trees, I would rather trust a professional. They're certified arborists, which means that they study arboriculture, which is literally the study of trees, how to care for them, diseases, the correct way to prune them, you name it, they know everything. In this case, the main projects we needed to have done this time were that 2 out of 3 of our Magnolia Jane trees, which are gorgeous, well, 2 of them died. He's already come for a consultation, and he could not, for the life of us, we cannot figure out what happened to him. There's no sign of disease, no sign of anything wrong, they just died. It happens. So he's going to remove 2 of those. And then there are 2 of our Leyland Cypress trees. We have a wall of Leyland Cypress I'll show you in a little bit. And 2 of those, after one of the tropical storms we had last summer, they just started leaning forward more. And you could start shaking them and they're going to come out. So those were taken out. And then there were just a bunch of other little pruning projects that they did for us to just get all our other trees in tip-top shape for the coming season. So with all that said, let me show you a bunch of before and afters. Now the befores, I just didn't narrate or anything. I just wanted you to see what they look like. And then in the afters, I will show you and talk about exactly what he did. So I hope you enjoy it. So here's the first river birch after pruning. You can't really tell much of a difference from the before pictures that I'm showing you. And that's okay. I know that it's done well. I know that it was trimmed up right. He got rid of the crossing branches. It just looks good. It's a little more height now so that the birch tree limbs don't run into the little lime hydrangea right here in the front. It looks good. And here's the Crepe Myrtle. Again, after pruning. Not sure again how this is going to translate on video, but it looks good. He did a good job. No need to cut the top off at all. Just the lower parts. He took out some of the crossing branches again, cleaned it up a little bit. I think it looks so good. So here's the other river birch. Again, I don't know how much this translates on video, but I'm just showing you the before and after. So here is what is left over of where the dead Magnolia Janes were. More white fence. They actually did a great job. They took everything out, roots and all. Now I just got to weed it, clean it up, and then decide what I'm going to plant here. I'm actually not sure. I mean, we've got arborvitaes here, which look beautiful. And we've got, you know, a whole row of them, which is nice. Oh, and by the way, they also, I don't know if you can see, let me zoom in. You see some of those cuts made in that oak tree back there. They cut those off for me too, which was very nice. Some of those limbs were A, cutting into the arborvitaes, and B, looked like they might fall on something. So I got distracted. So we've got arborvitaes on one side. There were 3 Magnolia Janes, now there are 1. There are 2 dead were removed, and there is, not are, 1 left, which is this guy, which now looks prettier, right? Not surrounded by all the dead stuff. So I'm not sure what I'm going to plant here yet. But I think with more sun, then my red yuccas, also known as false yuccas, are going to get more sun as well, especially this guy back here. This one back here hasn't bloomed in a while. I gotta still get the leaves out of that one. You can see where I stopped cleaning. Just look at this part of the rocks. It's really nice, right? But anyway, red yuccas are great, easy, bloom all summer. It's crazy. I'll have to show you once they're in bloom. But yeah, Magnolia Jane, you are looking pretty. Of course, we're gonna get more rain, so hopefully these blooms will last. They're pretty tough. And you can just start to see some leaves leafing out. But what's nice is the blooms happen before the leaves. So I may have to come in and get some of these dead twigs off of here, but let's hope that this one is not going to suffer the same fate, because the arborist that we rely on, he cannot figure out what happened to these trees at all. I mean, there's no sign of fungus, no sign of disease, no nothing. They just died. So, fingers crossed for this guy. So, can you see those up there in that oak tree? I'll zoom in. They climbed that tree too. I say they, one guy, one of the team, climbed it and took those limbs off for me as well. So if you watch my pandemic rabbits video, the pandemic rabbits tend to run and hide right down here. The funny thing is there is no way to get underneath the fence behind it, because the rocks go right up until there is absolutely no break. So they hide under there, and they were scampering around this morning. There's been 2. My husband said he saw a 3rd, so now I think they're inviting their friends. I kind of hope they got spooked by all the activity today. So here's one of the 2 Leyland Cypress that were removed. Here's where it was. Not thrilled about it, but it had to be done. You know, now we have a nice hole. But maybe it'll make this spindly guy grow better. That's what our tree professional said. And maybe this guy will grow better. Let's hope. So the plan is just to clean up there, but not to plant anything, in the hopes that these guys will start to get as thick as the one I showed you earlier, which is just stunning. So fingers crossed. Now, moving on up, we removed another one too. There's a hole there too, with stunning weeds that I still have to remove from the gravel. Let's take a closer look. So here's the second hole. Just a little mess to clean up. Again, let's hope that this guy and this guy start growing thicker now that they have a little bit more open space. And let's also hope that none of these other guys start leaning where they start to come out of the ground after tropical storms. So I got some mess to clean up. Not too bad. Ready for something pretty? This is the, as I call it, the wild cedar tree. Look at how pretty it is now. He shaped this by hand. I just think it looks so nice. Look at that. We grew this from a tiny little seedling, and next time I find one growing in the stones, I'll have to show you. But I love that we grew a tree that literally is native to this area. I mean, these trees are behind the fence that were here naturally too. So, yay for us, free tree. Now we go to the Red Tip Photinia. This is two different trees and a little guy over here. So here's the little guy. And he hand pruned this whole thing. God, was I impressed. Did a great job. Cut it back a little bit for me. Looks like we will still get some flowers on here, which is nice. Here's, you can see, that's where a flower will be. But we may not have as many flowers, and I don't care about that. I just love that he gave it a good hard pruning. This part of the tree really got damaged hard by Tropical Storm Isaias. You can still see how the leaves aren't doing so great. But there's a nest in there that I showed you earlier, and he didn't even harm the nest. He couldn't tell if there were eggs in there yet. I don't think there are. And here's the robin. And I'm so excited. I finished filming my little intro and I turn around and he's right there. So I'm glad, because I wasn't sure if he was going to come back to his nest or not after all the pruning was done. But there he is. Maybe it's a she. I'm not sure. But I'm happy to see the bird.